Oh, the Iceland story? Man, that was a while ago. But yeah, I think I can remember this one. So this story is about my buddy Yuta, and the little bit of Iceland he took home with him after the trip. So about 3 years ago in 2016, three of my buddies and I went to Iceland just as the tourism boom was hitting Iceland, and we got to experience it for ourselves. And I think in this case, a little bit too much. I think it was on the third day of the trip. We had gotten up early so that we could go snorkeling through that Silfa fissure. Epic time, unreal. Right after that, we just got in the car and drove to the south coast, passing Reykjavik and everything. And I think we were on the south coast by about lunchtime. And we were just trying to find some hot springs, you know, a normal thing to do in Iceland when you're there. And we wanted to find one off the beaten path so we could avoid the crowds. And we never really found one. But instead, we found some other things to do.
And this is glacier sliding. That was sick.
That got a little carried away. We spent the whole afternoon jumping off of cliffs into these snowbanks and just ripping down them. That was going so well. I think we could have done that for the entire afternoon and been completely content. But as one does, we were like, nah, we still want to go to the hot spring. So we started heading back, and it didn't mean that we were going to stop butt sliding and sliding down these slopes, and that got us into a little bit of trouble. Now this whole time, mind you, it's April. So the snow is melting, but where we were jumping, it was fine, it was deep, so we could slide and have no issues. That is until I realized now that we changed the slope angle and we're heading on some slopes that were a little more sun affected. And we also were no longer butt sliding, and instead we were penguin sliding on our stomachs.
Yeah, Yuta.
That got Yuta into a little bit of trouble. He went down, not thinking anything of it, having a blast, and then you can see it in his face.
Damn, Yuta.
I vividly remember the moment when I was looking into the camera and just saw his face after he like ran out of the snow. He was in pain.
So Yuta, what happened?
Hit a rock.
What were you doing?
Sliding down like a penguin.
Why are you sliding down like a penguin?
I don't know, it seemed fun. It's gross.
Oh.
Oh. When we got back to the car and he was showing everybody, I'm not gonna lie, I was panicking a little bit. It was deep. Like, he definitely needed stitches. Luckily, it wasn't bleeding a ton, but he was deep.
Ah, that stinks so much. That looks gross.
A normal reaction to this would be to go get some medical attention, you know, or at least take it easy for the rest of the day. But like I said, we were trying to find some hot springs. So we hopped back in the car and drove to a spot where we knew we could find some hot springs and went swimming. Meanwhile, Yuta still had this large open wound on his hip, and we went swimming in some pretty nasty water. Luckily, when we got back to the hostel, our wonderful host came to the rescue with some hand sanitizer, which I'm pretty sure doesn't help in this scenario and actually might make it worse. So he put it on the open wound, and you know, it happened. It's definitely getting infected. And 2 days later, we finally stumbled on a doctor's office. We weren't exactly sure what it was in Iceland. You know, it's in Icelandic, and but it did have the medical cross on it, so knew we were at least in the right spot. Yuta got some, I think, antibacterial cream, maybe some just Neosporin, Icelandic version. Didn't do much, and we continued on with the trip. Yuta proceeded to get very sick afterwards. Definitely had like pneumonia or something like that, or I forget. But definitely wasn't in work for a little while after we got back. And today he still has a gnarly scar from that trip. And but I guess he'll never forget it, you know? That's one good outcome from this, right? So, when you go butt sliding in a foreign country in a unknown snowpack, you should probably check and see if there's any rocks in the snowfield or how deep the snow is to begin with. So that's my first story from this Campfire Stories series I'm going to do. I think it's a good way for me to combine the things that I write about with a video storytelling element in this new way, and I hope in the future I'll be able to get some of these people that I tell these stories about, or my stories, and make these a little more engaging and not just my stupid face. So hopefully you like this. Alright, and don't forget, adventure doesn't find you, so get out there and get after it. Cheers.